Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson.
When I met you, I had my daughter in tow, and this show, I have my daughter in tow because she decided to wake up from her nap.
Motherhood is both amazing and difficult at the same time. The Passport Mommy, Michelle Jerson, is here to share in your journey.
It's amazing. It really is, just watching them grow and see how much change and how much they learn just without the filters around them as you get older.
Motherhood is a journey that can take you off the beaten path. Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy, is here to help you navigate.
You are awesome.
Joining you on your greatest adventure, here's Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
Welcome to the show. I hope you had a wonderful 4th of July holiday. You had some nice family time, maybe. I hope you're having a great time. And I'm thrilled to have with me my good friend, comic and dad, Marshall Stevenson. He is going to co-host with me this entire show today. So it's very exciting because Marshall and I both have little girls around the same age. Marshall's daughter, Nina, is a few months older than my daughter, Eden. And so we're going to delve into some topics today that we're both going through as parents. Hey, Marshall.
Hey, Michelle. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks. So you were telling me that Nina just started camp or daycare.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's scarier, like all these explosions for the 4th of July outside the window, or like getting dropped off at like a new experience for the first time, like being out of, like, if, oh my goodness. It's terrifying. This is like the first time that she's been away from a select group of people for any length of time in sort of a group setting, and she just drops off there, and they were like, but why don't we just hold her and she can watch today? They're like, nope, this is the way we're doing it, and you're out and you're in there and the door locks, and they're all upset, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I went through the same thing with my daughter when I first brought her to daycare a few months ago. We started her in April, and the separation anxiety, and with her at the beginning, she was fine. And then it set in a few weeks later, which was strange, but I shouldn't say strange. Every child's different, but I mean, it was heart-wrenching to walk away with her clawing after me and just burying herself in the chair, going to the ground, hysterical crying. It was horrible. It pulled at my heartstrings. I had to call my brother and say, is this normal? Because he has a son who's a little older than Eden. I said, I can't take this. Yeah,
I mean, it's enough to change your politics, right? Anyway, not to talk about that kind of a situation. For people who don't have kids, I mean, it's hard to even comprehend doing this. Like, dropping off your kid, the kid is shrieking, and then they go anyway, and they stay there without you. But that's what everybody says you have to do. And so we kind of like just came back, 20 minutes later, and then she was already not crying, and so it was okay. We didn't leave her for 8 hours. But even that, I mean, the doctors are like, yeah, it's hard adjustment at first, and they regress, and they become really connected. And as soon as we started talking about we're calling it school, so she can acclimate. Right. As soon as we started talking about school for the last 2 weeks, I can't go to the bathroom without her having a fit that I'm like, that I can't leave her out in the living room while I'm in the bathroom. And she goes crazy. Yeah. And that all started when we were talking about school. Like, this is terrible. And I guess we try to empathize with them, but, it's like their mind is very, you can, at the age, you can't just be like, no, we will come back. You can trust that we'll do that.
Well, it's interesting. When it was the last week or the last few days before I gave birth, and I could not drop her off for various reasons, and my husband took her, he did say that to her. He said, Eden, I am going to be back. I'm going to pick you up. I'll be back. And then he followed through, and he's the one that went and picked her up. And I don't know if that made a difference, but she did get a little better after that. And another thing that I had read online, just a suggestion, was to maybe make it into a little game and say, hey, we're going to wave to each other. And then you go on the other side of the door and you wave to her and she gets to wave to you. So it's not just like, because at the beginning I would figure out ways that I could sneak out. And they said that's even worse because they feel deceived. And they feel like you're sneaking out on them as opposed to saying,
they don't feel deceived if you actually deceive them and say, hey, let's play a game. It's like, let's pretend I'm not leaving. Let's pretend this is fun for you.
You tell them you're leaving. You tell them you're leaving and that you're absolutely going to be back later. And let's wave goodbye to each other so that they have an active And, and again, who knows if this would have worked in the first few weeks if this was going on with us, but it finally did work. And now I will say that she is much better. And thank goodness, because I couldn't handle it.
Oh, weeks. Oh, I think in our case, things were fine the second day. It was the first day
that's
that was
great.
tough. They said she's fine. She was fine.
Great.
But so we were lucky she only screamed bloody murder for 15 minutes. Is that
100%.
Like that's like as long as they don't go into that level of distress. I mean, and permanently scarred. And speaking of permanently scarred, I think I do remember at this age they tried to drop me off at a program, and I remember how terrified I was.
So you remember that. You were
Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting because they say that you, I think, only start remembering things around age 3, I think it is. I don't remember, which is like upsetting because then you think of all the time and energy that you put into them before then, and you think they're not going to remember any of this. But that's interesting that you remember that.
I do remember it. Now, I'm trying to piece together exactly what age I was, so I'm trying to think it's I can't really nail down if it was 2.5 or 3.
Right.
So
either way.
It was probably 3.
I'm not saying either way. Who knows? But I think that's what I've heard. It's at the age of 3, but I could be wrong.
No, I was just a wimpy kid. I felt that way at 3.
We just have a really good memory. So wow.
Anyway, I mean, I just this is one of those things. If you just talk to other parents, I'd really like to find a parent who was just no, my kid was happy to leave me. We never left me before in my life, and it just it was just bye.
Right. No way. I mean, I know I tried a new school with her this week because we were trying a different program, and I was really hesitant because I thought, she finally got acclimated to the first one and is doing really well. I hate to transition her to another one. And I brought her to this new place to try it. And when we got there, I mean, my daughter ran right in and no issues whatsoever. But there was another girl who was clawing at the door, screaming, crying. And I stood there probably for a good 15, 20 minutes. And the poor girl didn't stop. And I thought, oh my gosh. And then I wonder, the kids who are not crying and they're witnessing this, does it affect them also?
Oh, that's a good question. I wouldn't think it would be all that serious compared to the kid who's actually crying like that. I mean, that has to be being legitimately terrified. That's not you didn't give me my cookie. Wah!
Right,
right. There has to be this, oh my God, the door just locked and my mom is never coming back and I'm here.
Right,
oh my
exactly.
God, you've got to empathize with them. It's that's what makes it so heart-wrenching from my perspective is that you can see what's going on and why they're so afraid.
Right, exactly.
And it's oh my God, they're terrified. It's the best thing to do is just put them down and say, guess we're going to be terrified for a little bit.
Yeah, it's horrible. And then even once they adjust, the debate that I'm going through in my mind right now is, so she was going to a program, which was, I was taking her 4 days a week, and she was there on average about 8 to 9 hours a day. And now I'm thinking it's the summertime. She has her whole life to go every single day, full day to school. I should be doing other activities with her. But then I have this newborn, so it's really hard to do activities with her. So now I have the guilt of, should I be taking her out for half the week? Should I not have her in such a long day? I mean, I just don't know what is right. And I feel like there's always guilt.
I don't, I mean, I think that's going to stay with you forever with the guilt. Yeah. You didn't do it perfectly. I mean, you gotta let that go a little bit. But as far as taking her out more, I mean, can you just go to the park? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
You like those music classes and things like that, which are good, but just don't do anything, especially if you have the newborn. Can't you just go to the park and just kind of chill out on the ground and?
You can, but there's no such thing as chilling out because she's running around everywhere. And so I have to follow her. And then if I have the newborn in his stroller, it's kind of hard to run after her and, make sure she's okay while I'm with him. But yes, we're working on that. We're working on that balance. We have done some things together,
Well, I have to say something I don't anticipate being able to commiserate with you is to have the challenge of having to watch 2 children at one time. But I have to tell you that it doesn't seem possible to me.
Yeah. It's difficult. It's difficult. And I was excited to take them into New York City recently together. And then I thought, oh my God. Thank
Wait a
God
minute,
I had
but
a
New York
friend.
City's good because they've got playgrounds that have doors. And so as
Yeah.
long as if you have, if Eden is 2.5 years old, you watch the door. Like,
Right.
it can't be like, you'd be okay, like taking your eye off her for a few minutes if she's in the playground. No?
Right.
With the
Yeah.
newborn?
Unless that's the time she decides to like take a tumble off of a slide or some crazy thing like that. But yeah. So we just have a few seconds
God, I
left
feel
of
like
this
a
segment.
monster after, like, you're like, well, just in case you can take your eye off her, as long as you don't mind maybe missing a major accident.
Yeah. I mean, you just never know, right? I mean, she's always running around and doing crazy things. You just never know. All right. So, coming up next, we're going to continue this conversation. And, part of daycare, when I signed Eden up, and I know when you signed Nina up, they asked, are they potty trained yet? And that's what's coming next. So, we're going to talk about that because I know you said you're starting that. We have not started that yet, but we've dropped little hints. We're talking with Marshall Stevenson. He's a comic in New York City, a dad, and a great friend. More coming up in a few.
Motherhood is a journey. Joining you on your greatest adventure, here's Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
Welcome back to the show. We're talking with Marshall Stevenson, New York City comic dad, good friend of mine. He has a daughter around my daughter's age. She's about 3 months older. So, when your child is under 3, that's a long time. There are a lot of things that happen every month of your child's development at this early age. So one thing that Marshall's daughter is going through right now is potty training. Marshall, how is that going?
Well, it's one way to characterize it as we're going through it. So everybody we talk to, I don't know if you've experienced this, said, don't rush it. We did it too early. We regret it. It was hard. Don't rush it. They'll express an interest. You'll act on it. And then my wife talked to a mutual friend of ours who got it done really quickly with a system in a book, which seemed reasonable. So we got on the system. Naked, 4 days straight, in the house, watch him like a hawk. There's a lot of details to this, but I'm just broad brushstrokes on this. Naked, in the house, watch him like a hawk, put him on the potty if it looks like they're about to go. It's okay if they have the accident, but they have to help you clean it up in a nice way. And then you do it, and then it's done. And you just say, diapers are over.
Wow. Now, what if you have carpeting in your home? It's okay to keep peeing or pooping on the carpeting?
Well, no. I mean, you try to prevent that, and you can, roll up carpets if you want, but there's possibilities of accidents. I mean, you try to keep, you do your best with that kind of a thing. I mean, if you do have an accident on the floor, I mean, people deal with that kind of an issue. They're products, like.
Right. Okay.
So, but this is with the program. So anyway, but she was very resistant. My wife was convinced it's because we didn't do it in the prescribed time, that we were late to the game. It appears my daughter is a little resistant in general. Mm-hmm. She seems to like to have things her way.
And what 2-year-old doesn't?
Well, right, but I mean, it's maybe a little bit more like that's a characteristic of her. Anyway, so she, so there was a lot of struggle. She didn't urinate for 9.5 hours, holding it in, screaming. Wow. She said she could have a diaper if she napped, so she gets the diaper. She goes, naps, pees, and that's and that kind of that fight.
Yeah,
crafty, huh? So
wow, smart enough to know that how to hold it in. I mean, I have to say, because a lot of kids, I think, would just pee, because my daughter loves to, after her bath, she runs around and she says, knee knock girl, which is naked girl. And then she, in the past, it's just come out, like not thinking about it.
Oh, no, we didn't have that at all. So that's the thing. So you were asking about the carpets and stuff. We didn't really have that issue. We had it once when she was wearing underwear, and then she had an accident. I mean, a couple of times, but No, she holds it. And then she screams for the diaper so that she can relieve herself because she's in such agony holding it.
Oh.
Right?
Wow.
Right?
Interesting.
It's like a dog
so,
who doesn't, and I hate to make dog metaphors here. I try not to do that, Michelle, on this with talking about childcare. But the dog is holding it because you've told him that he can only go outside and he has to hold it and he has to really, really go. It's like terrible. But that was going on. So we also read that it was good to start potty training. Like, it's easier to do it if there's something else new. And she was going to camp for the first time. She's going to be away from us for the first time, which we talked about. And so this was going to work fine. And it'd be better if they didn't have to change her diapers anyway. And they just potty train in a different way, which is bring them to the potty every 2 hours. I don't know if I'm like telling a good story here, but anyway, we gave up. We said we fast forwarded to the chapter that said you're allowed to give up once.
Okay.
Because she was waking up in the middle. We thought the anxiety was about the separation. She was waking up in the middle of the night going, "No, I want diaper. I want diaper." We're like, "All right, you can have a diaper at night." So now she poops at night. You know, like.
Oh, gosh.
But we had a couple successes. One time I heard, "Daddy, help me!" So I go in and she's pooped on the potty. And she's having trouble pulling her pants back up.
Wow. So she walked herself over to the potty herself and climbed up?
The potty is about 4 inches off the ground.
Oh, okay. You have one of those. Got it. Okay. Well, that's great.
So now we're going to wait 2 weeks. And then here's the manipulative game, which I'm always suspect of, but you might like it, where she is now you're setting it up so that she now asks about the potty.
Right.
And then you tell them that the reason we stopped doing the potty is because they weren't doing it right. And they're like, and then they get a complex about not having done it right, and they're like, "Oh, I could do it right. What do you mean I can't do it right?" And then they want to do it.
Wow.
That's the untested theory. And I wish right now I could attribute this because part of it was a book and part of it was other. So.
Well, I want to hear more about this because we are not at our point yet of potty training, but I'll tell you a little bit more about what we're going through right now. So hang on, because I'm sure that there are a lot of other parents out there who are at that point where they're thinking about potty training. They're not sure when, how. It's definitely a process. And so I'm curious to hear more about what you're doing with that, Marshall. I'm Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy. And don't forget, you can head to our website, passportmommy.com. There's all kinds of ideas if you're looking for places to travel or product ideas. And you could always email me, Michelle@passportmommy.com. Would love to hear from you. And we could do any topic on this show that maybe you're going through something related to it right now. More coming up in a few.
Passport Mommy with Michelle Jerson. Motherhood is a journey. Joining you on your greatest adventure, here's Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
We're talking with Marshall Stevenson. He is a New York City comic, a dad, a good friend, and he has a daughter. About, what, is she 2.5 now, Marshall?
2.5.
Wow. And 2.5 means it's potty training time. And you were saying before that at first, very resistant, and that she would hold it before she would have an accident. So now is she still holding it, or she's pretty much going on the potty now?
No, we're back to diapers. We were told you could give up once, and then 2 weeks later, when they start asking why we're not using the potty, you're like, because you didn't know how to use the potty.
Oh, I thought you were doing that now. Okay, got it. So you're back to diapers, and in 2 weeks, you think she's going to ask about it, or has she been asking about it?
She's been waking up in the middle of the night going, "No, potty."
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, that's funny.
Traumatized by the whole potty thing. Yeah, I think the potty was, we also, as we talked about, we also went to was in a camp program that she just started sort of the first time she's been away from us.
Right.
And terrified, but I think the potty is actually causing more of the anxiety.
Could be. I've heard, I know you said that you heard that you should do it at the same time that there's another change. I've heard that you're not supposed to do it at the same time as another change because it's just too much, because we were thinking about starting it. And then someone's like, with the new baby coming and the move, they wouldn't do it now.
Yes. Awesome. I love this, and I think it encapsulates what we go through all the time. We get completely conflicting instructions on how to parent right.
Yeah.
And we inevitably pick a lot of the wrong answers, and we find out later that they're wrong. Like, you shouldn't have done it that way. And we're like, well, that's the information we had.
Right. Or maybe you just do it that way. And you know what? You have to decide for yourself. And at some point you just say, you know what? I'm not listening to everybody anymore because everybody's got something to say.
Let me tell you a little bit about how we did this potty training with the express purpose of telling everybody that it's not that great a way of doing it, because it's been very stressed. So you just take 4 days off, you stay in the house. You watch.
Yeah, because that's reasonable.
And then you do a lot of like reading of these books, like about how everybody goes to the potty, like even firemen go to, even the baseball players go to the potty, the books like that. And you're like, Mommy goes to the potty. Does Mommy go to the potty? Mommy goes to the potty too. Are you ready to go to the potty? No, I don't want to go to the potty. And it becomes like there's something horrible about it at the same time as.
I know. I had asked my brother, I was like, I ask her now if she wants to go poopy in the toilet and pee in the toilet. And I ask her if her friends at school do. And she says, yes. And my brother's like, don't rush it. But, again, don't rush it. Fine. But if you have to do it, you may as well start it at some point. I don't know. I don't know. There's going to be a right and a wrong answer on this, and everybody has an opinion on this, but I'm not so sure that, a lot of things can't just wait. Right. I mean, we talk about, people are like, oh, if you have them, teach them swimming, and a month old, then they're going to, live in the water, and, or you could just not do that, and you could teach them how to swim when they're 6 years old or 7. Right.
We were going to talk about manners, 2 years old, do they need to learn how to push in their chair, or can you, wait on this? There's, set them up for, for a lifetime of pushing in the chair properly. Can't you just wait on some of these things so you can actually have a conversation? Wouldn't it be nice if you could potty train at the point at which you could say to the kid, so now it's time to get out of diapers, and they were like, yes, I understand completely. Wouldn't that be a better time to do it?
Exactly. I mean, same thing. I always thought, we need to give her swim lessons before she's 6 months old and all this other stuff. And then I think, and even now I feel the pressure of doing swim lessons. Or do we just wait? Is it really that horrible? I mean, I think because she's been introduced to the water, she does love it now. But I do think that also you could probably wait as well. I don't remember how old I was. I don't think I was taking swim lessons at 2 years old. I
think you can wait on, everything. We can wait when they are saying please and thank you. And we can wait on when they stop throwing things across the room. But I don't know. I mean, is it are these the kinds of things that have to be corrected early, or else do you feel like they need to have the best manners possible for a 2.5-year-old to have?
Well, you know what? I think it's not a matter of manners. What I think it is that they are looking to us for discipline. And because if we don't give it to them, who will? So I think not that they're testing us, but they're looking for us to teach them. So when you talk about the please and thank you. So recently my daughter will say something and she'll say, I want almond butter. And then she'll say now. And she adds now after every sentence. And so my husband said to her, now, please. And so she now says, now, please. And when she gets frustrated over something, she does start throwing things sometimes. And I sat down with her and I said, you know what? Just because you're frustrated, we don't throw, and let's take a deep breath like Daniel Tiger and count to 4. And, so I do think it's important to teach them Not that you have to be crazy about manners, but more so just the right and wrong for behavioral aspects.
Yeah. Although I don't know. I do find that, like, we were in a restaurant. Like, I just don't correct much, I have to say. Like, we don't correct all that much. We were in a restaurant yesterday, and we had just she'd fallen asleep for a nap at a bad time, and we woke her up to go into the restaurant. She just wasn't in the mood to wait for the food, and she started crying, and I was just like, you cannot cry in a restaurant, like, in a tone that I never take. Not a yelling tone, just I don't scold anything. And and she reacted, she quieted immediately.
She did. So she stopped crying?
Immediately.
Wow.
No, I mean, like, she got quieter. Like, she wasn't really crying. She was just like, I want it now, you know. And then she quieted down. Like, it was like, you can't raise your voice in a quiet restaurant. Okay. But most of the time, like, if she's, whatever she's doing, I don't really, oh my God, I did think that you're a terrible father. You're like,
no,
okay.
I think you're a patient father. I mean, I don't know.
The whole discipline thing, I don't know if that's, are they looking, they're looking for parameters, but are they looking for, like, any kind of, like if they're sucking their thumb or something, do you even bother, like, pulling their thumb out of their mouth at this point, or you're just like, we'll deal with this later? That's sort of what I mean.
No, I don't pull her thumb out of her mouth. What I will do is if she puts it in her mouth right after daycare, I'll say, let's wash your hands first. And I'll insist on that. I usually lose because I know during the day the thumb's in the mouth when she naps at daycare. But, so I will, there are certain things like at night when I say, okay, it's time to brush your teeth. Usually she'll do everything but running into the bathroom to brush her teeth. And then it makes getting her to bed that much later and more difficult. So there are times that I'll say, Eden, like, we're going to brush teeth now. I'm not going to chase you around. This is our time to brush teeth, And so I do find myself being a little stern with her at times. I feel guilty after a lot of times. And a lot of times I realize, you know what? I think this is what has to be done.
Yeah, we do that too. We do that too. But the please and thank yous. Like, she won't talk to strangers. So we're in an elevator, we're in a park. Somebody goes, "Oh, hi, how are you, cutie? How you doing?" And she's just like, not gonna engage with this person. And we don't even begin to be like, "Say hello, honey."
Right now, there's no reason for that. I don't think.
But later on, if somebody talks to her, she has to probably say hello. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, if she feels like it. Of course. And I think that comes with time.
She has to do that. Just to do that. So you got to teach it at some point, right?
Yeah, at some point. Like now I don't think, because my daughter does the same thing. She'll be chatting, and then someone will say hi to her, and then you think she just never talks. So, but I don't think that's anything to be concerned with now that we have to teach them now. I think that's something that can wait.
Waiting for all this stuff. Oh, so we have a couple of things where, like, she just insists on doing some very small things wrong. I was like, okay. We have green and blue recycling bins. Okay. So she and I do the recycling together. So I'll just, like, hand her a box, and the box, a cardboard box that's green, and, like, a bottle is blue. But once in a while, she doesn't agree. And she's just like, no, blue. Like, no, that's green. She's like, no, blue, and just puts it in the blue. And I'm like, I guess you're right.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
So those, like, and when we first started eating chocolate, they gave these, like, dark chocolate covered almonds. My kid likes broccoli and chocolate and seltzer and Triscuits, and it's weird that way. But so
why is that weird?
Well, it just, like, seems like very adult food. I mean, when I was like, well, why not, like, Doritos?
Teach her healthy, refined.
I understand that this is, like, something she should be eating, but this is, like, she will refuse cookies that are far worse for your health. That are far worse for your health in favor of Triscuits and seltzers. What is a seltzer?
Right.
Doesn't make any sense. Anyway, the story was that we were giving her chocolate-covered almonds, and when the almonds ran out, I started giving her chocolate chips instead, dark chocolate chips, because she wasn't eating the almond anyway. She was eating the shell of the chocolate around it.
Okay,
but
so
she
save this.
insisted
Tell me
on
this
calling them almonds. So
Okay.
now she says,
wait,
Daddy.
Marshall, hold on. Let's just roll. Let's just tape this, okay?
Oh, I thought we were. Okay.
No.
No,
okay.
that was just note comparison. I'm rolling now.
Okay. All right. So we'll pick it up from. All right. So I'll say something. Okay. So that's great that your daughter likes to eat healthy.
Anyway, the saying was about the almonds. So we get the dark chocolate covered almonds, but she wouldn't eat the almond part. She'd only eat the dark chocolate shell. And we ran out of the almonds. We started giving her chocolate chips and dark chocolate chips, but she asked for almonds.
Okay.
So to this day, we give her chocolate chips when she says, "Can I have an almond, please?"
And she's like, "Dad, what are you doing? There's no almonds."
No, I don't correct it at all. I'm like, in due time, we'll be able to tell her when she actually speaks English properly that those are not almonds, they're in fact chips, and we don't have to argue with her now.
Oh, so she wasn't asking for almonds. She figured that those were almonds.
She thinks that the chocolate chips are almonds, so she says,
Got it.
I want almonds. So a couple of times I tried to do it. I said, they're not almonds. They're chocolate chips. She said, Daddy, that isn't right. They're almonds. I'm like, you win. Almonds. We're going to take this up another time.
Okay, fair enough. That's funny. So does your daughter eat things like you said she eats broccoli? Does she like kale?
Yeah. By the way, I don't want to give anybody any idea that she's a good eater. She just eats like 6 things: white rice, French fries, broccoli, Triscuits, chocolate chips. No, she does not eat kale. There's been occasions she's eaten corn.
Right.
But no.
That's funny. Well, I would love to talk about in the next segment because she goes to school for 3 hours, so you don't have to send lunch with her, right?
Right.
Okay. Because I want to talk about, because I do have to send lunch and snacks every day. So I do want to talk about that in the next segment because what they serve for snacks at school makes me cringe. And that's another thing that I've had to tell myself, maybe I need to loosen up on, or maybe I need to send my own snacks because my daughter does eat a lot. And I'd like to talk about that more coming up, if that's okay, Marshall.
I'm in.
All right, great. You're listening to Passport Mommy. I'm Michelle Jerson. That's Marshall Stevenson. We are both parents with daughters a little over 2 years old. His is 2.5, mine's 2 and 3 months. And we're good friends, and we always have a lot to talk about. And so I'm glad he's here. And we're just chatting about these parenting topics that I know everybody debates about and goes through. So it's nice when you can talk about it and know that you're not alone in your thoughts over every little detail of raising a little human. More coming up in a few.
Motherhood is a journey. Joining you on your greatest adventure, here's Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy.
So we're talking about how our kids at such a young age eat. And Marshall, who's with me, was telling me that your daughter, Marshall, has a few staples that she enjoys.
Yeah, very basic. French fries, white rice, broccoli, Triscuits, cashews, and occasionally chicken, but only if it's made by her grandmother. Oh, and she will have pasta if it has the right sauce to pasta ratio, which means very little sauce, but a little bit.
That's funny. Well, my daughter definitely eats a lot. I try to raise her eating healthy. And so her staples right now, what she loves to take to lunch to school with her is tofu, hummus, red peppers, couscous, cheese, and applesauce. So that's like her staple. She eats it all, which amazes me. And when she's at school, so one day, I don't normally go there in the middle of the day to peek in like you can, but I went one day and I peeked in while they were having a snack and her plate was empty and everybody else had snack on it. And so I went in and I asked the teacher, I said, did she just not want any or did she finish it? And she's like, oh no, she finished it. She had a cheese stick and a half and 7 Ritz crackers. And I was like, 7 crackers? Like maybe I'm just a little crazy that I think that that's a lot to give a 2-year-old. Maybe not.
Well,
I don't know.
Ritz crackers. I mean, if you're trying to have a kid eat healthy with couscous, I mean, we're just listening to that. I'm like, waiting for wheat germ to come up. So couscous and hummus and it's like, and then you send them there, and they're sending you a product like Ritz crackers, like and 7 of them. Yeah, I might pull her out of that program.
Exactly. So it makes me cringe. And the snacks. So one day when I was bringing her, because they do morning snack and they do afternoon snack, and the morning snack, she was about to get a Pop-Tart. And I was like, can you just, they had Pop-Tarts and applesauce. I was like, can you just give her the applesauce? And they were like, what about a cereal bar, Nutri-Grain bar instead? And I'm thinking, that's still not really that healthy. And then I saw another kid had rice cakes and Cheerios. And I was like, can you give her that? And they were like, oh, the mom sent that in. So I was like, you know what? That's what I need to start doing. I hate to do that because I don't want her to look around and see everybody else have a different snack than her. But I just hate that all they give these kids are Goldfish and pretzels and sugar cereals and Pop-Tarts. It drives me crazy.
Do they really give sugar cereals also? Because what I feel like the mistake that's made is they give processed food that's not actually as healthy as it claims to be.
Yes. I mean, they had one morning, they were giving the sugar cereal, and I was like, and I was pretty sure it was Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And I said, can you tell me what kind of cereal that is? And they were like, I don't know, we shop here. And, and then somebody verified that it was that. And I was like, why? Like in this day and age, I don't get it. And then it was really funny. One teacher said to me, oh, is Eden a vegetarian or dairy free? And I'm like, just because she eats healthy, like she has cheese every day. So no, she's not dairy free. And I've sent, salmon, salad and other stuff that's not, vegetarian. But it's funny how some people equate healthy to vegetarian.
These kids are like, who's luckier, the kid who gets the Pop-Tart or the kid who gets the salmon and the couscous? Do you have a little burner that you bring in so it's hot and it's charred in a nice way for her while she eats it with like her chopsticks, little horseradish sauce?
No, she mostly eats it cold now because they refuse to heat up anything in glass. So I hate sending stuff in plastic that they put in the microwave.
Hold on a second. It's just like we know you're a complete snob on this front when it comes to like things like this. But what can you just go through the reasons for this? Wait a minute. We don't like doing microwave plastic because the plastic leaches in and they all get plastic poisoning, right? Okay. Yes. So why can't they do glass?
They won't do glass because they say it's a safety hazard if one of the bowls should break. And I said, what if I send 2 bowls, one for the glass and then to heat it up in, and then one for the plastic for her to eat in, but they won't do that. But anyway, we only have about 30 seconds left. So I would love to talk more about this.
I'm just getting properly annoyed. What do you mean we have 30 seconds left?
I know. We have to continue this another time because this topic drives me crazy too. And some people might say it's ridiculous how health conscious I am. But, when you work so hard to raise a child who's health conscious and then you bring them somewhere and they feed them such junk, it drives me crazy. But anyway, Marshall, thank you so much for joining me today on the show. So much fun as always.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me, Michelle. Anytime.
And if you're in New York City, check out Marshall. Tell me again, what's your website?
At marshallstevenson.com. What are we're talking about the various things I do, but stay tuned. We're laying low in comedy right now because I am taking care of the 2-year-old, but look for more dates in September when we get her into full-time school.
Perfect. All right. I'm Michelle Jerson, the Passport Mommy. Enjoy the rest of your day.